Hi, everyone. Welcome to Laura's View and Tara 2. I'm really glad you're here. Today's date is Sunday, January 29th, 2023. I wasn't planning to do a video today, but a story cropped up that mentioned the state where I live. And so it piqued my curiosity. And since speaking of peeking, I don't peek at what the cards have to say before I present a topic. I thought, let's take a peek together on what I'm talking about. You see, Real Raw News reported just today that there was a raid on a cloning facility in Fort Yukon, Alaska, and that it was successful. There was no loss of white hat life, and they were able to capture the facility with enough of it intact that they can get some good intel. And concerning for me, also more information about how to make those not ensouled clones. Oh my, okay. Well, I'm all for overtaking those facilities and shutting them down, absolutely, okay? But I do have concerns about the whole cloning process and how it can be misused, and I just don't see it as a necessary technology personally. Okay, that's a Laura's View thing. Indulge the teacher in me, and I know some of you are visual viewers, people that learn visually. So let's look at where we're talking about on the map. Okay, now bear in mind, Alaska is very large. They say Texas is large, but we are almost 3 times the size of Texas. Texas is the second largest state. If you cut Alaska in half and made us 2 states, we'd still be number 1 and 2, and then Texas would be 3. So these distances are quite far apart, okay? Now, I'm speaking to you from the Mat-Su Valley, which is near Anchorage, down here. Several hundred miles to the north is Fairbanks. There is an Air Force base, Eielson, in Fairbanks. There's one down here in Anchorage. Elmendorf, we can usually hear jet activity leaving. Oh, sorry, I did not mean to make that smaller. Hang on just a minute. Okay, I'll go back to the share screen in just a second and point out some things for you. But anyway, we noted some increased activity out of Elmendorf the last few days. Which can happen when they're doing training, testing, things like that. But sometimes it's nice to get the anecdotal on the ground information. Let's go back to that Alaska map for a minute, okay? Okay, so Fort Yukon, where this cloning facility was, is about 150 miles north of Fairbanks, and there's no road system that connects it. They can go by a snowmobile, for probably 4 or 5 months out of the year. And most of the traffic is in and out by air. In the late 90s, I taught in Selawik, several hundred miles away on the coast here. So I don't have any personal experience with Fort Yukon. I don't know. I checked to see if I might possibly know anybody there, and I don't, because I was going to try to dig a little deeper. Now, here's why I thought I needed to dig a little deeper. This is the article that Real Raw News put up. By the way, this is an impressive photo, but it says clearly it's a stock image, okay? Although it's probably fairly accurate for the terrain around Fort Yukon, probably. And, the winter camo would be to be expected. But as I was reading the article, there were some inaccuracies that I found troubling. First of all, Mr. Baxter mentions that the 16th Special Forces Group, SFG, was consulted before this takeover happened, and they stopped being active in 1966. Currently, in the United States, there are 2 Special Forces groups that are active, the 19th and the 20th. Now, it could have been a simple typo. I'm going to come back here. You can see where the article is, and I'll just keep talking, okay? Could have been a simple typo, 16th to 19th. But then he mentioned that the head of that was Colonel Paul Peters. Now, Colonel Paul Peters does serve, but he was promoted to Brigadier General last September. So I thought, was he consulted last September? Sometimes the timelines are off here, you know? But he was very specific that supposedly this takeover happened just Thursday of this past week. So we have a brigadier general who has not been a colonel for 4 months. We have a special forces group cited that hasn't been active in over 50 years. And just a little inconsistent, troubling situations there. And, you know, they say that the General Berger was stepped aside and that there's a General Smith who's in charge of things. And they said he was consulted. Now, General Smith supposedly, you know, took over the helm of the White Hat Alliance operations in January. So none of these dates are matching up. Now, it hasn't before, you know, about a year or two ago when Real Raw News was talking about the some kind of a bush, one of the bushes being apprehended. I knew it had happened way sooner. So I knew the dates were off. But this is yet again a good example that you can have a site or a person like me that tries to provide accurate information to the best of their ability. They can make honest mistakes. They can also have been all along what we call, you know, controlled opposition. Sometimes they're not even aware of it. That there's a word that'll trigger a programming in them and off they go. And then they know when they hear that their narrative needs to be XYZ. Okay. But whether it's deliberate or accidental, mistakes happen. And even the tarot cards, you know, they're subject to the interpretation of the reader, which is why I always try to show you what elements in the card are leading me to my conclusions, or, you know, what my intuition is telling me, so that you can see that there's at least emerging there that it makes sense. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't quite agree with her, but I see how she got it. Okay. But anyway, with all of these inconsistencies about the Special Forces Group and the colonel who's now brigadier general and everything else, let's look at the facts and decide what we're going to talk about. There is a Fort Yukon. Absolutely. Okay. It doesn't have road access. That makes it what we call a bush village. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. Is it feasible that there would be off-grid deep state facilities? Absolutely. Tunnels, you name it. Okay. So what we want to find out, though, you know, I just wanted to point out that the things that made me go, oh, I'd love to believe this story, but as I was reading it, okay? And I want you to do the same thing. Feel that way. We'd love to believe the story, but let's get down to the meat of the matter. Well, we really want to ask the universe, dates aside, okay? Has a cloning facility in Alaska been discovered and is now under White Hat control? That's the gist of it, isn't it? Let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, what we'd like to know is the heart of that story, that there is a cloning facility in the state of Alaska in the USA that has now been removed from deep state control. Is that part of the story accurate in its in what has been shared with us, and is there other information the universe wants us to know? Judgment. Strength. Ooh, important question. Wheel of Fortune. 5 of Wands. 10 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles. Temperance. Well, never let it be said that the universe doesn't have a little bit of a sense of humor, because our question about the cloning facility was indicated by the Judgment card, which is one of harvest and renewal, and clones are, a renewal of, somebody. So I found that to be, it's also associated with truth. So the truth is, yes, there was a facility there. Okay. All right. Now we're being reassured a little bit with the strength card showing up here. And I would say that the reporting that there was not a loss of white hat life during this operation is probably true because, again, sometimes a little bit of literal. The universe can be kind of literal. One of the qualities of the strength card is grace under fire. So, yeah, there was one. Now let's look here. The Wheel of Fortune. Again, we have our entire world has been run by evil or the machinations of evil for way too long, and their fortune is changing. The Wheel of Fortune, it may vary in the pace it moves, but it never stands still. And we know we are going from dark to light. And this was one more step in that process, was the removal out of deep state control of that cloning facility. It did involve some strife, look here in the present. In fact, it looks like there may still be, since this is in the present, that there may still be something going on there as far as cleaning it up, or, maybe they've found things underground that were unexpected or what have you. Okay, but so the present card is still showing that there's a short period of strife still in process. Looking ahead, though, it's looking really good. Kind of reassures me about what use this information is going to be put to. Okay, I say that because we have the 10 of Pentacles in the near future on the outlook for this this facility. Nothing shows me that it's going to be back in the control of the deep state or evil at any point. The 10 of Pentacles is a celebration card, and every generation is shown in this, including some happy animals. Okay, so that's always a reassuring card to see, and it speaks well of there's going to be multi-generational health and happiness. And so I like seeing that, and it's well aspected on either side of it. Our main insight card here is the 9 of Pentacles. And that is a card of love. And again, Pentacles are an earth sign. So, and independence. So it tells me that this lab is now in other control. Absolutely. It's independent of what it was being used for before. Temperance. The white hats know, they really do, not to go too far down the road that the deep state has taken. There may be tactics that are similar for both sides to use, but there's a heightened awareness that our loving creator isn't going to tolerate the blasphemy of his creation and keep the endeavors supported. So I think they know that they can look into this, they can be aware of it and stuff, but there's just places they do not need to go technology-wise and science-wise. You hear that, Fauci? Okay, Ace of Pentacles coming up for a little more information, landed right here on top of the question card, saying, yes, indeed, we're getting a very solid yes, that there was a facility there, it has been dealt with, and it will be used much more humanely and wisely in the future. Now, we have the Knight of Cups showing up. He's not a white hat card. Knight of Cups can be kind of tricky. The Cups, when you see him, he can make false promises and just lie. Okay, so there is, I have a feeling with this card here, and then this one touching it, there's some negotiations underway for either some of the technology, the science, the scientists. Something is, somebody's making some promises. Give us back this, we'll do that. But those promises aren't based on good faith, and the white hats should be very aware of that. And if they're as halfway as smart as I think they are, they are. Okay. Coming closer now to our Temperance card, we have the 4 of Pentacles. He's all about careful use of your resources. Again, reassuring us that going forward, that facility won't be used in the same way. And finally, again, I'm glad I looked, we have a justice card. Look at all that we have, one ace, and how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcanas. Important question. Definitely worth jumping on and making a video about. And justice is showing up here for the final card. Again, never fear, justice is coming, okay? The wheel of fortune is turning. It's turning from dark to light, and justice is coming. Justice is our near future, okay? So let's recap. Despite some discrepancies that I found in that article from Real Raw News about that cloning facility, when we looked with the cards into the basic question of was there one and is it now in white hat control, we got a very firm and solid yes. We also got some reassurance that it's not going to be used in the same way. That technology, that information is not going to be used in the same way moving forward. But nothing can stop what is coming. And we are going from dark to light. And we are going to a place where that kind of evil is just going to be unimaginable, hard to envision, and something from a chapter in our past that we really, really wish hadn't happened, but we learned from, right? That's it for this video. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Don't take you for granted. We're coming up on a 1-year anniversary, the 12th of February, for this channel. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of learning curve for me. And I just love that the love and patience you've shown for me as I learn to do this for you, because I didn't have much in the way of experience of being on camera other than as a teacher. And I avoided cameras my entire life. So this was a real leap of faith for me. And I do thank you for your support and your generosity and kindness. It matters. It does. And so do you. Until next time, I send you love and light. Hope you find things to smile about, and just keep your outlook positive and your heart full of love and kindness, because those are the kind of things that evil doesn't have a weapon for. Thank God. Good night.